I love sugar. Always have, probably always will. I have a sweet tooth. My wife says there's a very simple explanation. Most of the time, I'm about as sweet as a prickly pear. I guess the sugar compensates. When it comes to adding sugar to things I enjoy, it's all about the coffee. Caffeine plus sugar ought to be one of those things we talk about as going well together. Peas and carrots, peanut butter and jelly, coffee and sugar. I'm a bit embarrassed to say I had never given a thought to how sugar ends up in my spoon or measuring cup. I say embarrassed because I'm a historical archaeologist. That means a couple of things. First, archaeology is a subfield of anthropology, the study of people and culture. Anthropologists are interested in lots of things, including the work that people do, how we make things and buy things and sell things, and the specific groups of people involved in each step of the process. My archaeology is focused on the historic period. I try to understand how people have experienced the major changes that have affected our world in the recent past. Things like globalization, colonialism, and the rise of capitalism. So I'm trained to think that objects, from bits of broken pottery to stone tools to, even sugar, can tell me a lot about the people and cultures who made and used them. And I'm used to thinking about the history of things. A tool or artifact is simply the end point in a long line of steps that went into making it. So this should be simple enough. How did the sugar in this packet I picked up from Hawk's Nest get there? Turns out, it's not quite as simple as I thought. Anthropology teaches us that there are many different ways that human cultures produce goods and services, what we call different modes of production. Capitalism is the mode of production at work in the US and other industrialized countries, and it's just one of many successful modes that people around the world operate under. Capitalism has some features that are unique to it, for better or for worse. The way we produce and understand commodities, like sugar, is just one of those. Commodities? Well, sugar is a commodity, a good or service produced by human labor for sale on a market. In modern industrial capitalist cultures, we're surrounded by commodities. Everything from iPhones to smart cars to tennis shoes are commodities. Commodities are made by people, usually people who do only one small step in producing the final product, and then moved through space by still other people, and then sold by yet another group of people to a consumer. This actually explains a lot of my questions about my sugar, but it also raises new ones. Like, if sugar's a commodity, who are the people behind it? Anybody who wants to know anything about sugar ought to look to this book by anthropologist Sidney Mintz first. He traces the history of sugar from its roots as an expensive luxury for European elites, through the establishment of the vast and brutal Caribbean sugar plantations, through the 19th century, when sugar made up a fifth of the calories of the British working class. White sugar starts its life locked inside sugarcane, a fast-growing tropical grass that looks a lot like bamboo. The stem contains sucrose, a particularly sweet form of natural sugar, along with a lot of water. Sugar is made, or refined, by grinding up sugarcane stems and evaporating off most of the water. The result is molasses and brown sugar, like the kind you find in grocery stores. More refining gives you various forms of white sugar, including the stuff that ends up in packets at coffee bars around the UNCW campus. So to ask, where does sugar come from? I'm really asking, where does sugar cane come from? So chances are the sugar in my sugar packets started life on a huge sugarcane farm in Brazil. Most of Brazil's sugarcane is harvested by hand. A cane field is set on fire, then the charred stalks are cut by men and women with machetes. These workers are mostly seasonal, migrant labor. Over 500,000 men and women do this work every season. Workers typically chop a half ton of cane an hour, as much as 5 tons a day. That sugarcane is partially refined in a Brazilian sugar mill. Then the molasses and brown sugar are exported to another country, where the final stages of making white sugar happen. So the sugar in my packet probably grew up on a plantation in Brazil, got burned, chopped, and processed down there, loaded onto a boat for the US, then refined into white sugar at one of several refineries around the country. From there, it was packaged and branded, then loaded onto a truck, probably several trucks, with some warehouses in between, until it was dropped into the sugar holder at Hawk's Nest. But saying it like that makes it sound like those things just happened. In fact, people were involved at each stage, of course. Somebody seeds the cane, somebody else tends the growing cane, and still another person burns and chops it. Somebody drives a truck to the Brazilian refinery, several somebodies refine the sugar, others package it up for shipping, and still others load the ship. The ship is crewed by several somebodies, and here in the US it's unloaded by dock workers, moved around by drivers and warehouse workers, and then placed out for my selection by a Hawk's Nest employee, somebody who actually works for Aramark. So anthropology tells me about the history of sugar and how it's made, and it gives me insights about the whole chain of people and technology that ended with me putting the sugar into my coffee cup. It also tells me why the whole process seems so mysterious. By that I mean, why can't I tell any of that human labor stuff just by looking at the sugar packet? I just see sugar, with a price tag if it's in the supermarket, or set out for free at a coffee shop, and I naturally think, hey, sugar's cheap today, or free. There's no history there, no indications of the work behind the commodity, the ways that I'm connected to hundreds of people through my consumption. This is what Marx called commodity fetishism. All the people who worked to get the sugar to me, from the farmers to the field laborers to the processors to the shippers, are hidden by the little game of buying and selling at the end of the commodity's journey, a game that's unique to our mode of production. So anthropology changed my mind about sugar. It taught me about the history of this thing that I use every day, and it revealed that my sugar is another commodity, and it helped me see through the way that commodity is fetishized, like all commodities. I hope that in this semester, you'll find some things about anthropology that move you, and maybe even change your mind. I'll be here to guide you with my mug full of coffee and sugar.